What is up, everybody? Welcome to the one to watch for 2019. It's another episode of the Smart Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and as always, I have with me Callum Wiggins.
What's up?
And Robert DeFelice.
What's going on, everybody?
So, if you have not checked it out yet, we just got done doing the Future Endeavors forecast. You should go check that out to see what we think are the people that are on the list of potentially leaving WWE in this next year, whether they're fired or retired or whatever the case may be like that. So that's the bad news out of the way. Now we're going to get into the good news here with the one to watch, as I previously mentioned, and this is pretty self-explanatory. It's, technically speaking, who is the one to watch for the year? Who is the one person that you think is going to make the biggest deal as far as a breakout year? They can potentially be the big focal point, like a Brock Lesnar has been in the past, or Roman Reigns has been in the past, or they could be somebody who just gets this groundswell of support and they go from, a nobody in NXT to being like the most popular person in the planet or something like that. Whatever your justification is. And we're not just going to talk about the one to watch, because that would be like a quick podcast, and then, we'd basically be like, this one, that one, that one. All right, well, see you later, everybody. And I got a feeling we might actually even pick the same person. So let me actually kind of nip that in the bud right now. We're not going to talk about who our picks are yet. But you guys agree with me it's Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, I mean, main roster-wise, yeah. It's bound to be his year.
I like to go a bit more interesting. So,
okay, so we got different people.
You're totally right, but I want to be more interesting than that.
Alrighty, so we got different people. That's good. That's I'll break down my kind of thing like that. But I want to talk about honorable mentions, other people that maybe are kind of on, that right on the cusp of being able to get to that point. And of course, if this is your pick, by all means, stop me. I'm just going to toss out a couple names here. This is testy kind of pick for me, but depending on what happens with the Superstar shakeup, and depending on what happens with them wanting to build up SmackDown for the whole Fox transition, I could see Finn Balor having a pretty damn good year. Maybe he gets that world title on SmackDown. Wouldn't shock me.
I'm in two minds about that one. I think mid-card title is probably the best he's going to get this year.
Possibly.
They've taken me to the point where I don't trust them to utilize him, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Totally depends on the SmackDown thing in my mind. If he sticks on Raw, nah, no dice. This one's a pretty obvious one because it's kind of goes with the territory, but clearly if Ronda Rousey sticks around, Ronda Rousey's going to be a big deal. I would also say, though, Shayna Baszler is going to have a good year. I wouldn't be shocked at all if she... let's put it this way. I'm assuming we're getting a triple threat at WrestleMania. I think Becky and Charlotte are both winning the Royal Rumble, and then one of those two is beating Ronda Rousey for the title at WrestleMania. And if that happens, and if the idea happens that I'm considering is a very strong possibility that Ronda Rousey goes to SmackDown, I think Shayna Baszler beats Becky or Charlotte and wins the Raw Women's Championship this year.
It's not a bad idea. I think wherever Shayna goes, she has to be a villain because she's just way too good at it. She can't be the babyface that Ronda is. But I think they'll put it on the SmackDown side. I don't think they want Ronda leaving Raw. And if SmackDown wants the sports-like presentation, then you can get that through Shayna Baszler.
I mean, I would say that it definitely has a lot of potential, but I don't think Baszler will have as good a year this year as she had last year. It's just a sense of she was the big dominant woman in NXT, and if she does go up to the main roster, she can still be prominent. But I think there's every likelihood she'll just be a lackey for Ronda Rousey.
No, please.
Heavy. I don't want it to be that way, but I can't pretend that's not an option.
Literally everybody that I have on my list, other than my Drew McIntyre pick, everybody else is from NXT. So I guess the best way to round things out with kind of passing the baton a little bit is, do you guys have any other honorable mentions that are from the main roster, not NXT?
Yes, I have a few. Mainly on the women's side of things. Bayley is a weird one to be saying out loud now that I've said it, but I'm going to run with it anyway. I think that then I know how terrible the Sasha Banks Bayley thing over the last year has been, but with the women's tag team titles coming in, there's big potential for them to either win the titles as a team or not win the titles, and either way, it will lead into the catalyst for them breaking up. And even though Sasha is the better wrestler and probably the more charismatic of the two of them, I've always had a bit more agency to see Bayley succeed. Whereas Sasha, I've never warmed to, really. I know how good she is, but I've never had that kind of urge to see her do well. Maybe it's because she came in with so much ability and charisma that I knew she was going to do well regardless, even though she hasn't been utilised effectively. Whereas Bayley, there was so much potential that went to waste and something they could hopefully recapture in 2019, but that's a bit of a long shot. Another one, two on the SmackDown side, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. And I think this could be both either as a tag team or as single stars. There have definitely been reports swirling around that Vince McMahon is very high on Mandy Rose, and why wouldn't he be? She's blonde and got big tits, so of course he's going to be interested. So I think that there's a very good chance that she's SmackDown Women's Champion at some point this year. And if they do split them up, I think Sonya Deville actually has improved quite a lot and could stand on her own 2 feet, and also be a potential Women's Champion for this year.
See, I think Mandy's going to Raw.
Well, either way, I think she could be Women's Champion.
For me...
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And it's just down to looks alone, which I know is a bad way of doing it, but it's what they did with Alexa Bliss. She was good on the microphone and had a good look. Mandy Rose is good on the microphone and has a good look. She doesn't need to be that great in the ring, and she's not that bad.
For me, on the women's side of things, I think you've got to look at the Iconics. With the SmackDown Women's Tag Team Championship being announced, they didn't do much with them in 2018, but this has to give them a path to be utilized, and I think do better this year. Also, on the women's side for me, and I hope they do the right thing and call her up to SmackDown, Nikki Cross could not only be the catalyst for some good women's matches, but maybe she gets Sanity back on track. And
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we have to mention as well, I don't know whether this counts as NXT or not because he has been announced to be on the main roster, but Lars Sullivan's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, he's definitely going to. He's big. Vince loves that.
He's just a big monster, yeah. So essentially, he's just going to be the next big heel assumingly on Raw. If our prediction that he's just going to take out Braun Strowman at the Royal Rumble comes true.
Mm-hmm. I'm sticking to that unless they do something weird to, if Sullivan pops up on Monday Night Raw this next episode and he starts a feud with I don't know,
Cena.
Yeah, if it's something like that, then it's okay, he's probably not going to do the Braun Strowman thing, but no, I'm thinking it's more of that. And I could see Braun Strowman fucks him up for the Royal Rumble, and then, they kind of go down that road, but I guess if you kind of constitute that the same, I think that EC3 could potentially have a good year. I think he could win maybe the Intercontinental Championship or something like that this year. It's not good enough for me to pick him for my one to watch, but I think he's going to do better on the main roster than he did in NXT. Plenty of NXT more people to talk about, but what other main roster people you guys got? Anybody else?
Mustafa Ali.
Oh yeah, he's he had an amazing end to 2019. One of those guys where, if you think about the fact that he lost the Cruiserweight title match at WrestleMania and he ended the year pinning WWE champion Daniel Bryan, even though he didn't win the match for the Royal Rumble, I think he's still going to get a WWE championship match pretty soon.
And I think he can probably utilised. I mean, it's probably not enough to be one to watch, but it's still worth like a mention. And then, well, there's two on the main roster that I'm kind of still deciding which one is going to be my one to watch and which one would just be an honourable mention. So I might wait until we make our final picks. And I just say who was the one I was conflicting over, but there's still like some decision making to be made in my head.
Fair enough. Let's go over to the NXT side of things, because it's sometimes easier for us to look at the people from NXT and see their progression, because they start off with pretty much nothing. You know, they come in, maybe they're a big name elsewhere, maybe not. Somebody like a Matt Riddle, who's on my list, they strap the rocket to him right away. It's a no-brainer that he's going to have a good year, unless something freaky happens, like he gets injured or something like that. He's probably winning the NXT championship, and if this is like a progression of starting at the bottom and going to the top, that's pretty much as good of a one to watch as you can get. But other people don't. You know, other people come into the mix and they're completely unknown, and they have to kind of work up from that. So there's lots of different people. I mentioned Matt Riddle. You guys have Matt Riddle on your list?
Of course, Matt Riddle is going to be a big star. He might bypass the NXT title altogether, depending on how much they really want that sports star power for the SmackDown brand. If they don't get the NXT title on him by August and allow him to lose it by October, then I think he might bypass it altogether.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a big deal. Again, it's just someone that I just try and leave off because it's just a bit too
obvious.
Too obvious. I like to. I mean, there's one that's so obvious that I can't ignore it, which is the Undisputed Era.
Yeah,
because they're just the biggest thing.
Amazing. They're amazing.
And if they don't get called up and are not the biggest thing immediately, then it's been a real travesty of justice. But there is every opportunity that will happen, so I can't be. I try and limit my excitement for these people.
It's one of those things where if you are the Undisputed Era, you know you're good. Like, if you stick in NXT, you're going to be major deals. If you come up to the main roster, the only way that things go poorly is because WWE fucked you up. So they give them whatever they want to give them. I assume they're coming up to the main roster after WrestleMania, and I assume that they're going to be like the fixtures of the tag team division, and that's just going to be how things have to work, you know? I can lump in, those four people together. They're all going to be great. Even if they do something like they have them kind of bounce around here and there, like maybe Roderick Strong goes to 205 Live or something like that. I don't think it's going to happen, but who knows? Those four are going to be great. And I also think that these four that I can lump together in some capacity, whether it's main roster or NXT, Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. They're just too damn good. They have to be considered possibilities because those guys were just stealing the show left and right this past year. Whether they stick in NXT, and I don't think that Black will. I think Black's going up to the main roster. I think the other three are going to stay in NXT for a little bit. But they're going to have some killer matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to stick on them for too long because the last podcast we did, we pretty much set it up 10 times.
There's a reason why they won so many Best of awards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, it's the predictable nature, but you're right in saying that these four are just like linchpins of NXT.
That's actually literally the word that I used in my article version of this. They were the linchpins for NXT this year.
Yeah. Well, we did someone who will stay in NXT for this year, almost certainly, unless just his size gets him noticed. Dijakovic.
He's on my list too. I think he's potentially the next North American champion, depending on whether they go with... Tonight, they're going to do NXT tapings. And tonight, we're going to have a much better picture of what's happening for Phoenix. If they go with Gargano and Ricochet, I think Gargano wins that. But if not, I think Ricochet drops it to Dijakovic. Or Dijakovic, I think is what they say. I don't know. Good old DD.
Yeah, DD. I'd also mention in that same breath, Punishment Martinez. If they actually figure out what they want to do when they... I even though he's appeared on NXT, when they properly debut him, as it's like they package him and give him the gimmick that they want to give him, he could be a big deal as well.
Packaging Martinez?
I hope they don't do that.
I hope they
It'd
don't.
Be worse than Twinnet Dijakovic.
I have Ricochet on my list as potential. I think once he drops that title, he potentially can come up to the main roster, and he's either going to be a big mid-carder, or he's going to be the actual focal point of 205 Live.
Stop saying he's going to 205 Live. It's not happening.
Yeah.
I don't. You might as well
I
just.
don't think so, man.
You might as well just like kill his momentum immediately.
I hope not, unless people start watching 205 Live and then he gets his proper credit. I hope he goes to the like Raw or SmackDown, preferably SmackDown. But I could see them saying, let's put him on 205 Live and see if he can go up to the other ones, kind of like a Mustafa Ali type thing. Wouldn't shock me at all.
Here's a hot take. I bet you he's in the Rumble. And I bet you he does some stuff with Ray.
That'd be cool.
I'd be excited for that. Just he could be the Kofi Kingston guy. Now that Kofi Kingston doesn't really do that sort of stuff, or doesn't do very impressive ones anymore.
Kofi Kingston's still Kofi Kingston.
I know, but like I'm sure Ricochet could, if he wanted to, like dive straight over the ring and land on his hands and walk on his hands back into the ring. And then at that point, you could have Kofi Kingston in the ring at that point, like looking at him, just go, "Okay, I'm done." It's just like I'm retired.
How about this?
Yeah, it just like jumps over the top.
How about Kofi gets thrown over normal, and everybody's like, "Oh, what the hell? Like Kofi didn't even save himself." And then somebody throws Ricochet, maybe like a Lars Sullivan, throws him out of the ring, and he bounces on top of Kofi and bounces out of the arena. He uses Kofi as a springboard and does that. And that's Kofi's elimination save this year. He's not saving himself, he's saving Ricochet.
That was pretty cool.
Last year, Adam Cole and Andrade Cien Almas popped up, and they didn't come up to the main roster for a couple months. So Ricochet could do the same thing. I have Riddle, I have Dijakovic, I have, this will make Rob very happy. Bianca Belair is on my list.
Hell yeah. How can you not? She is, when you strip everything away of the, everything's got to be a great wrestling match, she's the best character that has come down in so long. That hair is everything. You can eventually put it up in like a hair versus title match, and how good would it be?
You guys think she's winning? This is jumping ahead of us a couple weeks, but you think she's winning the title in Phoenix?
Hell yes.
No, I think they need to establish the Baszler, Shafir, and Duke like triumvirate first, and then they can use that. Then they can use that as a springboard to Bianca wins it at the WrestleMania one.
I will be Mark DeFelice. She's winning this belt. She is. She's winning this championship.
To be honest, when I was looking at like the choices for this ones to watch, the one that actually caught my attention and got me most excited was the potential for the NXT women's side of things. There's a lot of really talented names that are in there, like on the live event stuff and on NXT, like Deonna Purrazzo, Chelsea Green, Zia Lee, Casey Catanzaro were the main ones that I picked out.
Yeah, Shirai, if she gets her shit together.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But I'm in like ones that haven't really started yet, but could have like a breakout. Yeah, I think the one I think has the most potential, oddly enough, is Casey Catanzaro. If she is able to, if she's received enough like training and like is up to a level where she can appear on TV, she has just such a like huge babyface potential because she's so small. So like she can always be like beaten down by the bigger, more powerful women, and then like sneak roll ups and stuff like that to push her up the mountain. I think she could actually like maybe not be champion, but in touching distance of the championship by the end of the year, if things go well.
I noticed just now, we didn't talk about NXT UK in any capacity over the Future Endeavors forecast or this yet, really.
I don't know. I don't know them enough. I don't know the people enough to want them to be released. Essentially, I've chosen a few for the one to watch, but I didn't feel comfortable with the knowledge I have of them, because the ones I do know are too good to be released, and the ones I don't know how good or bad they are. So
the one question I have is this the year Pete Dunne transitions to a WWE role, or do you think he's going to stay as the pillar of NXT UK?
He stays.
I think he stays as well. I think there's some guys that not so much like will always stay in NXT UK, but are guys that want to work the UK scene and be like the like you say, like the pillars of UK wrestling in WWE. So they work with certain other promotions and stuff like that, and they remain like powerful forces to attract more UK fans to watch WWE.
I think if there's anybody in NXT UK that goes to the main roster, it's Toni Storm.
Oh yeah, I think she definitely has the ability and the ability to transition far better than pretty much anybody. But in terms of
what about Ripley?
Not yet.
She stays.
Eventually, but not yet. I think in terms of like people that could have breakout years in NXT UK, you got Joe Coffey, obviously, who seems to be like the big heel that they're trying to push now. But there's one name that I think sticks out above all others, and he hasn't actually appeared yet, is Walter.
I don't know anything about this dude, but I keep hearing his name.
You won't forget about him when you first see him in NXT UK. He's going to be the guy that ends Pete Dunne's title, right? I'm calling it right now. I know that's spoiling my prediction for the Blackpool thing, but I don't care. But it's just, he is a big deal. And as far as I'm aware, he's only going to be working in NXT UK because he doesn't want to live in America. And that's why he was reluctant to sign with WWE before the NXT UK came out, so he can work with other promotions as well. But like he's somebody that could, like, I know Pete Dunne held the title for about 500 days or so, even more than that. But Walter could do the same thing as well with the title. It's not like he's anything like spectacular. I think he's just
he's massive
guy
with massive,
the hardest chops in professional wrestling history.
Huh.
So he's going to be a standout name. He's going to attract a lot of eyes to NXT UK.
So more than anything, he's the one to watch as far as NXT UK goes.
I think, well, if you can catch that like NXT UK and NXT in general, I would even put him onto that side of things. But NXT UK definitely. I have a lot of time for Walter. I think he's a big deal.
What else you guys got? Because that's my list. Other than talking about, good old number one.
Oh, you haven't said your number one yet.
Oh, I did. It was Drew McIntyre.
Oh,
but I'm gonna wait for that.
I thought you had like a number one for NXT.
Oh no, I didn't think about that. But if I had to go, I think I probably would go with Matt Riddle.
Well, the only other team, the team that I have that's remaining on my list of things is War Raiders. I could see them winning the title quite early this year and just holding it the entire year.
Yeah, but I also kind of think that that's sort of like a given and not all that impressive. Just sort of like guys on top, stay on top at the end.
Well, it's worked for the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, but they're better.
So is there anyone else from NXT that you think could be on the one to watch, Rob?
The Forgotten Sons. I think are going to be a major.
They're forgotten about.
Why, Callum?
Because they're just. I've heard. I described them, and I've heard other people describe it as a DOA act, which is dead on arrival. They
Not
haven't-
actually like the Disciples of
No.
Apocalypse.
Well, they were dead on arrival as well, but it's basically that they're just. I thought initially that they'd be a big deal because I kind of like the gimmick, but they're just so unremarkable. Like Jackson Riker potentially has could have a good year, but I'm so unconvinced by them now.
I respect that.
But I also respect your option of it's wrong, but I respect your opinion. That they could have a good year.
Yeah, that's it for me on NXT.
All right, so then if that's NXT in the main roster, that means the only people left for us to do is to talk about our actual picks for one to watch. And spoiler alert, mine was Drew McIntyre. I mentioned it twice already. So I think it's kind of an obvious pick, but hey, fuck it. He is potentially going to win the Universal Championship. I think that he is in a position where the only thing holding him back is the fact that it's on Brock Lesnar. And there's a chance that Lesnar drops the title to Braun Strowman at Royal Rumble. I don't think it's happening, but if Strowman wins the title, I think that Drew McIntyre beats him for it at WrestleMania. If Seth Rollins beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, which I think is more likely to happen, I think Drew McIntyre beats Seth Rollins later on in the year. Whatever the case may be, I think Drew McIntyre wins that Universal title. And by him finally getting to the point where he wins the world title in WWE and makes a big deal being Vince's guy that he wants to push and everything, qualifies for one to watch to me. He finally gets to that level. Who you guys got?
You had the same, didn't you, Rob?
Oh, no, I said I could see Drew McIntyre being a big deal on the main roster. However, my pick is Andrade. I think a lot of people are already over it. I think a lot of people are like, oh, they ruined him already. I think 2019 is going to be a big year for him, and I would not be surprised at all to see him in the WWE Championship match at, say, a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series.
So, like I said earlier, I was conflicted between two. The one that I've decided to relegate into my biggest honourable mention is Elias. Because I assume he's going to be a multi-time Intercontinental Champion by the time 2019 is done. He does seem to be like the guy that they'll position as like the top mid-card guy for a fair time going forward. But based on the fact that this guy, I think, could be a world champion by the end of this year, I'm going to go Kevin Owens. He'll be back soon. He paid so many dues in 2018. Like, he was put in some ridiculous situations. He was thrown off all types of things by Braun Strowman. I could see him coming back, getting an immediate move to SmackDown, and being WWE champion at least once by the end of the year.
Man, I hope so.
I think he deserves it. I think he's a guy that, like, maybe in another time, people might have considered like somebody that might jump ship into if something big like AEW turned up. But he's proven to be such a WWE loyalist that I think he could be rewarded by being given a World Championship, especially if Triple H gets more control as the year goes on.
That's going to be a big factor for a lot of people, you know? Because if Triple H gets more control, we could really see a Tyler Breeze reach a level of prominence. We could see a Kevin Owens become a full-time main event guy and not just lose it to Goldberg and fade off. I think Triple H's role in WWE is going to decide a lot.
Could he be our one to watch instead? Then?
Yeah, I was going to say, therefore, he is my one to watch.
Technically speaking, you could put him down there. I mean, rules. It's like,
yeah, rules are there to be broken.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think these three choices are probably have got a fair amount of likelihood to at least all be holding gold by some point at the end of this year.
I'll put it this way: if Andrade Cien Almas gets a big of a push this year, I'm totally in for it. He is somebody who I don't think is like top guy material necessarily, but he put on some great matches. He's gotten some significant boost from Zelina Vega and all that, so I'm endorsing that. If Kevin Owens wins the title, 100% for that. He is one of my favorite people on the roster, so I'm not going to complain about any of this kind of stuff. It's all good in my book.
And obviously, I'll be happy with Drew McIntyre becoming champion because, God, that title would look good around that tight waist of his.
I mean, we forgot to say that the real reason he's the one to watch is because, God, he's built like a god.
Yes, exactly.
He may be the one to watch in the Sexiest Superstars tournament.
And then also it'd be the fact that we'd have a British world champion finally. It's been far too long coming for that.
Have they not pulled that trigger?
No. It's weird.
Wow.
It's weird. It's like they don't have a British world champion. They've only had like one black world champion. It's like WWE's it's like really easy to predict who's going to win the title in some instances.
Oh, they've had 2 black world champions, Mark Henry and Booker T.
And neither one of them were ever prominently featured.
I meant WWE champion.
Oh, okay.
And that's The Rock because he's half black.
That's terrible.
So, usual scenario here, everybody. Make sure you leave your comments below and tell us your thoughts on our lists, as well as your own, because, hey, maybe you're somebody who's got their finger on the pulse and you're like, that Travis Banks, he's going to, I don't know, it's just a random name that popped in my mind. But whatever the case may be, whether it's somebody you want to succeed or somebody that you really think is going to succeed or whatever, who's your one to watch for 2019? Tell us in the comments and stuff, and make sure that you also subscribe on YouTube and ring the bell for notifications. Follow the Facebook and Twitter accounts at SmarkOutMoment. Check out smarkoutmoment.com for all the article side of things, all the other extra things that aren't podcast related that's happening there, and the e-wrestling news side of stuff, the Bleacher Report, all the other outside interference content. You've got fanboysanonymous.com if you are interested in things like my 6 flicks picks for the entire year. That's a tough thing that I do every year where it's, look, if I could only watch 6 movies the entire year, what would I pick? And maybe some surprises on that list. I don't know, depending on how well you know me. Got some movie reviews and stuff that are out there and cooking up as well, and maybe some more content. If you want to see more from that or more from Smart Out Moment, there are Patreon accounts for both of them. So consider tossing $1 my way or, whatever spare change you got. I also have the TeePublic and Redbubble shops if you want to buy some merchandise. There are plenty of things all over the place. If you just start clicking around, you will see tons of stuff to get involved in. So go ahead and do that. And mention it in the other one, but Happy New Year, everybody. I just want to toss that out there real quick before going around the horn here. So, Rob, anything you want to toss out for the plugs?
WrestleZone.com for your daily wrestling news. eWrestlingNews.com is also a source for your daily wrestling news. TimekillerApparel.com is not a source for your daily wrestling news, but you can get some nice t-shirts and some nice hoodies. I'm working on getting some new stuff out there, looking at new designs and stuff. Look at the Triple Threat this week. We've got some new writers at Smart Out Moment contributing to the Triple Threat, so that's exciting. We've got the power rankings, which Callum does. Tell him about it, Callum.
Yes, I have the power rankings on Smart Out Moments. They'll be up. Yes, I'm also He-Man part-time as well. So look out for the next movie coming out at some point. I will be putting those up soon, sometime towards the end of this week. And yeah, just check out all the other articles on Smart Out Moment. Follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14, and that's it from me.
Oh wait, yeah. By the way, I don't think I said this in the last one. Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice.
You don't need to worry about that. No one cares.
Yeah, no one follows me anyway. But I'm gonna kind of turn this around on you, Tony. I want to put the gun to your head because you brought it up on social media. Are we covering Wrestle Kingdom tomorrow?
Wrestle Kingdom is a maybe. Let's put it this way: if you see Wrestle Kingdom up on like a post show, it's because I didn't fall asleep.
We'll be here. We'll be watching it.
Knowing me, probably also be awake. Probably be doing it. I'll probably throughout the night be working on templates to do all this kind of stuff, and I have no idea, fuck all, what this whole card is and stuff like that. So you're gonna hear very interesting things from these two, and very ridiculous, stupid things of there's a guy with the pants and stuff from me. So there's a very good chance that we are going to be doing a post show for Wrestle Kingdom 12. Is that what it is? 13.
We could do one for 12 as well. That'd be good.
Kingdom of Wrestling 8. That's a possibility. We also have some other things happening as far as like plans for anybody that's interested in what's like going along for 2019. Obviously, at some point in January, we will be doing the mailbag. It's probably going to be the end of the month. NXT UK Takeover Blackpool is something we'll be covering. NXT Takeover Phoenix, the Royal Rumble, the commentary track of a previous Royal Rumble. We haven't decided on what yet. We'll probably actually let you guys vote on that. Maybe put up some kind of a poll on the Megamaniacs. Maybe even on SmartCountMoment.com itself too. I don't know. That stuff's kind of all sort of in limbo right now, but if you have any suggestions of what you would like to see, drop a comment below and tell us that kind of stuff, because it's going to be the road to WrestleMania. We got lots of things happening, and we also want to do some fun stuff on the side. So, hey, Wrestle Kingdom wasn't part of my plan. Thumbs up. We'll probably end up doing that.
That's exciting.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll see. Starts at 2 in the morning. That's what it was?
2 in the morning start the pre-show. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, you guys got it rough.
Hell, you love that, don't you, Cal?
It benefits me for a change rather than bit ridiculous hours of the morning for the American shit.
There's a very good chance that Callum is hosting the Wrestle Kingdom.
I'll take it.
It'll be like, all right, can you dictate what's happening here? And then I can be like, yeah, Flippy Guy. Flippy Guy was good.
Does that make me ineligible for co-host of the year if I host an episode as well?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
For host of the year, new category.
Hey, at this point, the way that some of the voting went down, there might not even be a vote at the end of the year. There's people that are voting like in diagonal lines. I haven't even checked. I kept the poll open for that, but I don't know. If you have no idea what the hell we're talking about, check out the Smart Out Moment End of the Year Awards, because that was a lot of fun, and it's many, many hours worth of material you guys can check out. So lots of things cooking. I'm hungry, so that's why I went with that metaphor. Hopefully I get to eat. Hopefully you have a great meal and a great 2019 and whatever the hell else you have that's going on. Tell us what your meals are in the comments below. And we will see you at whatever the hell the next thing is. I don't know. Wrestle Kingdom, hot tags, something. Adios, everybody. This has been another Smart Out Moment, and we are being counted out.